Hi guys, Stumpy Grump here, Stumpy Grump Scale Speed Shop. I've got a tutorial video for you today. This one is going to be how I do spark plug wires on my model cars. This is going to be budgetary, kind of a budgetary tutorial. There are different ways to do it. You use all the kit parts, the kit distributor. You can also buy pre-drilled and pre-wired distributors. There's a lot of outlets that sell those. Great products. All of them that make them are great products if you can afford them. They're actually not too badly priced. I'm on a real tight budget, so I choose to spend my money elsewhere. I can do it pretty cheaply. So let me run through what you're going to need first. You're going to need the wire itself. This is 30 AWG wire wrapping wire. Say that 3 times fast. That I get on Amazon. There's 8 colors and there's 305 meters. Now I don't know if that's all the wires together or just the length of all of them, you know, of just one wire. Whatever. Anyways, it's either way. Even if you just use yellow and black ones and you don't use like the red, green, blue, purple, whatever other colors there is, orange. Even if you just use the yellow and black for 12 to 14 bucks, well worth it. On with the wire. I've shown you the uses of this before. Your cable cord. You have 4 different colors all wrapped together. You have the insulation over a copper wire. I use the copper wire for many things, door locks, valve stems, stuff like that, holding my parts. So I've already got a ton of this around. Most of you probably do too. You just unwind these things, and you have green, brown, blue, and orange. Brown's the most popular color for a spark plug boot, so that's what I use. Just snip off the end, pull out the copper wire, however much length you got, and just snip maybe 1 or 2 millimeter long boots, and you put it over your wire wrap. Pretty easy. Most of you have this stuff at home too. Gonna need tweezers. And a pin, a sewing pin. I'll show you the use for this in the tutorial. Might not necessarily need it, but I use them. You have, let's go with the pin vise first. You're gonna need a pin vise. And I use these drill bits that go into the pin vise. I use them for other things too. You get some real skinny ones. You see, I've broken a couple of them, so they'll break. This one, knock on wood, I've been using for a long time now. It's a little bit big for the spark plug wires and the door locks and stuff that I use, but it does work, and it's much sturdier than these skinnier ones I found. So that's what I use. So that's everything that I use. Like I said, this is a budgetary tutorial, more on a budget. Some of the stuff you can still do even if you have the pre-wired distributors and all that. So no big deal there. So let me get the bench set up and we'll do some spark plug wires. Okay guys, now we're at the part where I start wiring the distributor here. So I take the distributor. Like I said, most of them are too small to drill, you know, fumble around here. Drill 9 holes in here, 8 for the wires and 1 for your coil. So what I do is I get these from Amazon. little bits. Be careful on the real thin ones. They'll break pretty easy. But I take this, the biggest one in this bunch, and I just do a starter hole. I've already done it, but I just kind of really find that center point and start a center hole. And then I have another bit here that I use. Don't know what size this is. You guys will have to get your own that size and try to figure it out. I wish I could help you. I don't know what size it is. You guys got bits hanging around, I'm sure. And then I just go in the center of that and drill that hole. Not all the way down, just down enough to where your wires here will connect in. So now we'll get to the wiring. Okay, I use this wire wrapping wire. It's 30 gauge, 10 or 12 bucks on Amazon. It's worth it just for the black and yellow wire if you just throw the other ones away. But on customs, I use the colored wire. I use blue, red, green. There's brown, purple with the yellow and the black. So I'll put a link in the description for this at Amazon. Okay, so what I do is I just roll all the colors out, and I figure with doing this all 2 inches per cylinder. 2 inches is more than enough, plenty. Okay, so that's 16 inches, and then you figure one just for good measure for your coil wire, so 18 inches. So I roll the wire out 18 inches and just cut it with scissors. Then I tape it off, put the rest of the way. So I have all these colors ready to go now, all rolled up. This one I'm using the blue. I've already cut them, measured out 2 inches and cut them. So here's 9 wires ready to go into the distributor that I've already drilled. I measured out a couple different times. Pat them down so they're even. Test fit it into the distributor. I take my glasses off for this part. And they go right in. So I got it drilled out good. So now what I'll do is I will slip some glue in there and glue them in. I'll take a toothpick for that. Make sure the hole is in with the glue. And just slip the glue down in. I haven't figured out a good way to hold these in a good spot between the test fit and the glue part. And you just set them down in. Hold it for a few seconds. Put the dollop of glue in there, it won't dry right away. But once you put the wires in there, it'll dry pretty fast. I'll take one of my clips here. And just set it aside. Okay, so that's the first step. Okay, so for my next step, I already showed you guys how I pin my parts. I take my wire that I get. Pretty sure it's from a cable cord. Just, slice off a little end. Pull the copper wire out that you use to pin your parts. Like that. Just pull that copper wire out. I happen to have a brown wire as part of my wiring group. There's brown, green, blue, and then there's striped ones, orange, and there's also striped ones. But a lot of spark plug boots are brown, so that's what I use mostly. So again, I just take my X-Acto blade and just measure out, eyeball, kind of, the approximate size that you would want a spark plug boot to be. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. Just cut them along. I cut like 11 or 12 of these things because they're going to fly all over the place when you start trying to put them on. I only do the part that goes into the engine block because of how I do my wires in my distributor. There's not enough room to put the boots on the distributor part. Most people aren't going to see that anyways. So 10, 11, 12 of these things. Then what I do is I take a sewing pin, same one that I basically use for a shifter every once in a while, and I stretch them out just a little bit on this sewing needle. There's a better way to do it, but with the camera right here to show you guys, I can't really see. So I'm doing with what I got here, and I just use my tweezers to push them down. That stretches them out a bit, because as they sit, they're not wide enough for these to fit in, but you let it sit on this sewing pin for a few minutes, 5, 10, 15 minutes. That stretches them out enough. So I do that with all of them. I'm not going to show you all of them, but that's how I do it. Okay, then on to the next step, I will show you how I put them on the actual wire. Okay, so now I will just take these wires and I'll spread them out. Okay, so we have the 8 wires and the center coil wire. I'll find my pin here. Hopefully I can do this on camera. I do one at a time. Take one off and just insert it over the end of the wire. I'm not going to be able to do it because I can't see it very good. That's how bad my eyes are. But there it is. Okay, it's on there. Once again with the tweezers. And just slide it about halfway down the wire or so. Third of the way, quarter of the way, whatever. You do that to all your wires. Again, I'll just show you one. And I'll do the rest off camera. And I'll come back to it. Okay, so I got them all on. You can see they're all on. I will stress, guys, patience, patience, patience putting these things on. They will go shooting across the room, so cut extra boots. I didn't lose any this time, which is rare. I usually lose 1 or 2. especially the first couple ones that you put on, because these pins get wider down to the bottom. The upper portion here isn't as wide, so maybe use, which I haven't done yet until I started talking to you guys, it just made sense. Use a couple of pins and put 4 or 5 on each one at the bottom. That way you're not having the skinnier ones at the top that are more challenged to put on. If that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so these are all on. I do this before I put the distributor on the engine. It's just easier to work with, in my opinion. So the next step is gluing the distributor on, and then I'll get some of the other parts on, the valve covers and all that kind of stuff, especially if you're going to go over the top of the valve covers. If you're going to go around, you may not need to put them on, but I already measured out what it's with the exhaust headers and everything, where the plug wires are going to be, so that's not going to be an issue before I drilled the holes. So next step, after I drop the engine, next step is gluing the distributor in. What I will do is I actually, because sometimes you have clearance issues with the spark plug wires. These engines aren't designed to have spark plug wires on them, so your air cleaner, stuff like that, might not fit over the top of that. So I drill down into the opening so that it sits flush. So I'll do that right now. Alright, so I drilled a hole into where the distributor goes on the block, on the manifold. Then you glue the distributor in, whichever way it goes. See, I Google, before I do any of this, excuse me, I Google, number one, where the spark plugs go, and get them as close as possible sometimes, you know, and then you measure up. I can get one out. Here we go. I measure out where the exhaust goes, the headers, your exhaust manifolds, whatever, where they go, and they're not going to block anything. There's the holes. So I can either go around the valve cover or over the top. But I Google where they go, and then I drill the holes. You do that before you paint any primer or paint. You also want, I Google while I'm there, how the distributor sits, especially when you have the vacuum advance here. So I'll do that. I will Google where that sits before I glue it in, and then I'll glue it in, whether the vance is on the left side, driver's side, passenger side, I don't know. Straight back, we'll see. And then I'll glue it on. And then, like I said, I'll do the assemblies, see how the wires run for the most part. This is a custom car. You can have the wires run whichever way you want, I guess. And then I will come back and run the wires. Okay, guys, so I'm going to try to do this way. Let me get my toothpick out for my glue. I have to take my glasses off to see, and I'm half blind, so it's going to be pretty tough for me to do with the camera sitting right in front of me. I got to work around, but we'll see what we can do here. The first thing I do is I Google where the spark plug wires go, you know, the firing order. I actually try to do the firing order. So, you know, I try to line up, you know, 1 through 4, 2 through 8, 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8 on the other side for Chevys. I have to Google it, and I have to have the diagram in front of me, which is on my phone, and I'm using my phone for my camera. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to do like 1 or 2 wires here, and hopefully I can do this without bumping things too much. Okay, so I'm just going to do the first and second cylinders here. I got the first wire, get it measured up to where the hole is. Gonna have to snip it. A little bit. I'm gonna set it down. I use my Bob Smith Industries Instacure with the Riders label on it. That's where I got it from. Squeeze it out, just a small dab. That's all you need. You just need a small dab right there. Okay, hold the wire down. I run it down into here, into the valley here, to keep the wires from looking like a scared spider. I just bend it. And slip it in. And there you go. Spark plug wire for cylinder number 1. This is the second one. So I'm going to run this across the other side. Again, I run it down close to the manifold. Hold it against the valve cover. Like so, and once again, I can hold it. The boot has to come up a little bit further. Down here. And again, I'm going to snip off a little bit. You don't need that much going into that little cylinder spark plug hole there. Again, just a dab of glue. Set your toothpick down where it's not going to stick to anything. Take my tweezers, fold it up, and then it goes. Hopefully you saw that. I will do the rest and show you the results when I come back. Okay, and here is the finished project with all the spark plug wires in. We'll flip it around to the other side. Now, what a lot of guys do, and my hands and fingers don't work that good sometimes. Plus, again, it's a budgetary thing. But you can get wire looms, photo etch wire looms, and even probably 3D printed wire looms to bunch these together for a cleaner look. Especially over here, you can bunch them together for a cleaner look. That's just not in my budget, so I don't have any of them. But just something else you can do. You can even wrap maybe like bare metal foil or something around there and pinch them together and hold them together like that for just a neater, cleaner look. But I'm just going to leave mine as is. And this is your coil wire, which will just go next to the distributor, end of the coil. Or if you use an aftermarket XL coil or something, mounts on the firewall or fender well or something like that. But yeah, it's your coil wire. Run it wherever you want to run it. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully it was easy to follow and helpful to you guys out there. My budgetary spark plug wire tutorial. Okay, thanks for watching Stumpy Grump Scale Speed Shop. Stay tuned for more content. I'll see you later.